Hey you all, also hi to fellow dressmakers. You're welcome to another interesting tutorial. My name is Confidence. In this video, I'll be showing you how to sew this beautiful blouse that you can see on your screen. The last video was all about the drafting and the cutting of the blouse. So if you're yet to see that video, do well to check the video before this one, or you kindly check the description box. But if you'd like to learn how to go about the sewing of this, kindly watch this video to the very end and let's get right into it. So these are the pieces we cut out from the last video. This right here is the yoke, which I said I'll be using this Ankara as the lining, and it's totally optional. Then this right here is the sleeve. I have two of them. And then I have this one right here, which will be the front peplum. This one will be going from the waist down. And I said in the last video that I cut out this scallop design to use in place of the lace that was used in the original style. This one right here is the lining, and I pressed in hard stay on it. And this is the back peplum. I cut out the lining and I pressed paper stay, one layer of paper stay on both the lining and the fashion fabric. Then this one is the center front. I'm using same fabric as the lining, and I pressed in one layer of paper stay on both fashion fabric and the lining, and there's wording on the fashion fabric. Then this one is the side front. I'm using same fabric as the lining, and I pressed in one layer of paper stay on both fashion fabric and the lining. And this one is the back. I did the same thing, same fabric as the lining, and I pressed in one layer of paper stay on both fashion fabric and the lining. So start now with the sleeve, and I'm going ahead to mark out 8 inches upward from the hem of the sleeve this way, and I notched it on both ends. Okay, now I'll be using this bias. It's contrasting color, I know, but this is what I have at the moment. So I'll be using it to create a casing for the elastic, and I'll simply go ahead now and stitch it exactly on this line. Okay, you're going to open the bias this way, place it on that line, and then you're going to stitch it. But when you're done, you're going to flip it and top stitch on the other side to have something like this. So this right there will be the casing for the elastic, as you can see. Now I'll bring in the elastic and then my safety pin. Okay, you're going to determine how much like how firm you want it to be on your hand. I use this method, and at the end of the day I trimmed off about 2 inches out of what I have here, what you can see on your screen now. Don't worry, I'll show you what I mean in a bit. So I'm going to use the safety pin to pass it through this elastic casing here. I'm going to just pass it through and then make sure that the elastic did not go all the way inside. Okay, once it's almost going all the way inside, I'll just go ahead and stitch it on my sewing machine this way. Then I'll pass it to the other end and stitch just to hold it in place. And at the end of the day, this is what it looks like. I mentioned that I ended up trimming off about 2 inches from the elastic, and this is elastic, it will not go to waste. Later on, I'll be stitching it the same way I'm showing you here and use it for something else later. So that's it. I'll go ahead now and fold the hem of the sleeve. Just fold it anyhow you want, whether thin or bold, anyhow you want. But I'm going to fold it this way and keep it aside so that to work on the upper part. I'll now take the center front this way, remove the pattern from it, and then I'm going to take the main fabric, which I mentioned that I pressed inward in this way for the bustier part. Okay, this is what both the lining and then the fashion fabric is looking like. Then I'm going to take the side too, remove the pattern from it this way, take the one that will serve as the fashion fabric, and then I'm going to place it this way. So at this point, you can decide to use your pins just to hold it in place, or you simply go ahead and match up the underbust. There's a notch in the underbust. I'll match it, pin it down, and like I said, you can decide to pin it all through, or you simply go to your sewing machine and stitch it once with your machine, which is what I will basically do. So just simply go ahead and match it up on the underbust. You can decide to pin it down, or you simply just go ahead and sew. I do not even pin it. I just go ahead and make sure I match the notching I have at the underbust, then I'll go ahead and sew. I'll use the same process to join the lining, and after doing that, this is what it looks like. You can see the notching I gave it on the lining, on the like the bust point. Okay, that's the curvy part. So after sewing your bustier, you just simply notch it on where is curvier, which is basically the bust point. Yeah, and this is what it looks like. Can you see that? Can you see how well cupped this came out? So I'm going to press open the seam this way, but there's something else I like to do. Okay, I mentioned that I notch it at the bust point, which is really curvier than the other part. I'm going to now take off the wording on the stitching allowance I have here. Just watch closely. It's very easy to do, but in case you want to do this method and it's the wording is like hard to take off, just press your hot iron on that point and it will be easier for you to take it off. Okay, so just press it. As long as the it touch the hot surface, the glue of the wording will melt and then it will be easy for you to take it off, just as you can see me do it here. I have been doing this for a while now and I like the outcome. It always came out so well. So after taking it off, I'm going to trim just carefully this way. Make sure you're not trimming off with the fabric, just the wording. That's what you're trimming off. And you trim it very close to the stitches, but make sure you do not cut through your stitches. Just as simple as this. Okay, so I'm going to easily and carefully trim it off just like this. Can you see what it looks like? Then I'll now go ahead and use my bust arm to press open the seams, and after that, this is what it looks like. Can you see that? Can you see how seamless and well cupped this came out? I iron the line in the same way, like I press open the seams and you can see how neat that also came out. So I'm going to take the yoke now. I already notched the midpoint of the neckline, and for the yoke I've gone ahead to turn the neckline. If you be adding your collar, please do not turn the neckline, just leave it like that. Just try to hold it down at that point where you can see me notch. Okay, at the part where you see that I notch, just hold it down there, stitch it down to hold it down there, so that it's easy for you to join it to the neckline of this part. Okay, so I'm going to match up the midpoint I notched on both the bustier and then the yoke, then I'm going to sew. But since this is just a straight neckline, it will be quicker for you to just do the three. That's the bustier, the yoke and the lining. Just hold it in place, pin it down on the midpoint, then you're going to stitch and then top stitch on the lining. You sew the sides and iron. Okay, you also do the same thing for the back. You're going to I'm using the same fabric as the lining, right? So I'm going to just use one part as the fashion fabric, then use the other one as the lining, which I will just mark just to indicate. Okay, so I'm going to place it on the right side of the fashion fabric, so the neckline, so the center back, so the sides, and then I'll come back again. If you be adding your collar, please do not sew the neckline yet. So after joining and ironing, this is what the front part looks like. Can you see that? The bustier really came out so well and it's well cupped. I also turned out the back part. Can you see that? Now I'm going to simply turn the shoulder. Yeah, I'm going to turn the shoulder this way. I'm going to place the back on the front part, right side facing right side, and I'm going to flip the line in this way. I'll hold the fashion fabric and then the front part, then I'll flip the line in this way, right? Then I'm going to sew it 1/2 inch. Do the same thing for the other part, and this is what it looks like after turning the shoulder. You can see how neat this came out. Can you see that? So the next thing I'm going to do now is to do the side measurement, like the final measurement. I'll do this before fixing the sleeve. And you can see that I'm doing this on the right side, right? You can always do your measurement on the wrong side. I unconsciously do this, except I just remember sometimes, but this is just how I do my final measurement. I do it on the right side. I don't know why, but I just do it without knowing. I'll measure also the waist, then I'll mark the actual waist measurement divided by 2, then measure what I have left. I'll share it into 2, Then I will now turn to the wrong side, which is where you're supposed to mark your final measurement, right? I will now mark those measurements I took on the front. Okay, I just do this without knowing, but like I said, just go ahead and do the final measurement the same way you usually do it. Okay, so after marking it on both sides, I'm going to connect the bust measurement to the waist measurement. I'll do the same thing for the other side. Then I'll now go ahead and trim off the excess I have on the armhole. Yeah, I'll trim it off and then bring in the sleeve, match up the midpoint of the sleeve to the shoulder. That's the shoulder joint in there. Okay, and then I'm going to sew it. There's not going to be any pleats. Then I'll keep it aside and now we'll work on the down part. So I'll bring this front part. This one is not the flare part, okay? The flare is the back. Then I'm going to take one of the flare. I indicated why I want to be the center back. Remember I said that in the last video, right? So I'm going to make sure that is not the part I'll be joining to this part. Okay, I'm going to place it this way, right side facing right side, and I'm going to pin it down and go to my sewing machine and join it with about ½ inch. I will also place the other half to the other side, pin it down, then go to my sewing machine and join it with about ½ inch. It is that simple. I'll follow the same method to join the lining too, pin it down, right? And then I'll go ahead and join it, iron it out to have something as smooth as this. So you cannot see the stitches because this scallop design is covering where I joined it, and because I ironed it you cannot see it. So this other part you can decide to fold it in this way, then go ahead and stitch. Like you fold it this way, pin it down so that it will be easy for you. You fold and you pin, then you go to your sewing machine and then you top stitch on this part. That's if you want it that way. Or you can also decide to make it neater, and to do that you're going to remove all this other pin and then you flip it this way. Make sure it's still in place, like it's still where it's supposed to be. Do not let it move, right? Then you're going to pin it down this way, and then you're going to just join it that way, whichever one you want, either this one or the other top stitching method. Just go ahead and hold it in place at that point. Okay, so you're going to sew it there with about ½ inch or 0.25. Then you're going to bring it back in this way, right? And then arrange it very well, pin it down. Then you're going to stitch just close to the edges of this scallop design. Okay, then after that, this is what it looks like. Can you see that? I mentioned that I'll be using cup chain to close it. I don't know if I've mentioned that, but I'll be using cup chain later on to I'll place it on the edges of that scallop design. Okay, so I'm going now to remove the pins and I'll bring in the lining, match it up. There are joining on both fashion fabric and the lining, so match it up, pin it down, then you're going to sew on the edge. Okay, this is when I'm trimming off the lining that I mentioned I will trim off later on in this video. Okay, later on while sewing. Yeah, so I'm going to now sew on the edge, and after that I ironed it out and top stitch on the waist line, right? Notch the midpoint, and now I'm going to match up the midpoint of both the peplum and then the upper part this way, pin it down, and then the pleat will be going to where your dart is supposed to be. That's how we cut it out, right? So you're going to just use the notch you have on the peplum as a guide. Okay, you're just simply going to bring the two notch together. It's very simple, and that's the plate. That's how we cut out this part, right? And you're going to pin it down, and then I'm going to go over to the center back and pin it down at this point. Then I'm going to sew. So the excess I have here, I'll be adding tiny pleats just on the back part. I have no business adding any other pleat to the front. I already have the one pleat I should have on the front part. Okay, so I'm going to add tiny pleats, stitch it, and do the same thing for this other side. And after that, this is what it looks like. Can you see how neat this came out? So this is the plate. You can decide to iron it to make it smoother, or you can also decide to leave it like that. And then this is the back. Can you see? So I'm simply going to fix my zipper carefully, and then that's it for the blouse. So this will be the end of what's told here today. Do let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and let me know if you'd be trying this blouse, and I'll see you in my next video. Be good. Bye.